Hey YouTube, this is Matthew, and today, while I'm playing some Black Ops 2, which we're doing very badly right now, but I still find some enjoyment in Call of Duty. Well, mostly for stress, but I find some enjoyment in Call of Duty, not a lot. But that's not about this video. This video is about Nintendo. This video is about Nintendo and how they are dominating in Japan right now. And why can't they dominate America like they dominate in actually Japan? What is it about American gamers that what Nintendo is doing with how they make video games just doesn't appeal to them? And I think I found the reason. I was really thinking about this last night, and so I was looking at my gaming collection, and the games I have for PS3, Xbox 360, Wii, as well as my DS, the games I have for my PSP, stuff like that, and I was trying to figure out exactly what is it about American gamers that the Wii U is just not appealing to them. And I'm trying to figure that out. What is it about the Wii U and stuff like that that just, Nintendo cannot break the hold that Sony has on them. And I think I found it. And it really has to do with the gaming community. If you look at the gaming community and how people play video games in Japan and China and Europe and America, they're all very different. For a while now, Nintendo used to dominate America. They were very popular in America until PlayStation 1 came out. When Sony came out with the PlayStation 1, they showcased a new way of playing video games, a new way of realism, of making games realistic. Now, of course, PlayStation 1 games weren't very realistic, but they showcase like a new way of making video games, a new way, and and um and ever since then, they just had that hold on America. American gamers are like obsessed with making games, obsessed with realism, obsessed with how a game looks instead of how a game performs. And it's really because Sony brought out this realism, this making a game real, and more concerned with how a game looks than how a game actually plays. And Nintendo never really was about realism. Nintendo has never been about realism. Nintendo has always been about making the games as fun as possible. Nintendo has always been about making video games as enjoyment as possible, making them as fun to enjoy as possible. They've never really been concerned with actually realism. They've always been about making the games fun, making them enjoyable, trying to make the games last as long as possible with replay value. Like, how long can you play a game before you get sick of it? And Sony has some of those games, but not as much as Nintendo has. Nintendo has more replay value than actually Sony does. And it's because Nintendo really, yes, quality of gaming does revolve around how a game looks, because of course that's just the whole aesthetic thing, aesthetically pleasing. The game has to look nice, but the game also has to perform nice. The game has to perform nice. It can't just look nice. It has to perform nice. And American gamers just don't really get that yet. They don't really get that yet. They just care about how the game looks. They don't care more. They don't care about how a game plays. They care about how a game looks more than how it plays, which is kind of sad because. Which is kind of sad. Which is kind of sad, and it's one of the reasons why Japan is dominating. Nintendo's dominating Japan right now, because in Japan they don't care about realism. They care about the actual game and how does the game perform. You know, the controller schemes. You know, detail, story, continuity. They don't care about graphics. They don't really care about graphics. I mean, yes, games on the Wii U and the Wii look good, but it's like America is so obsessed with graphics that Nintendo just can't compete with that, and they shouldn't have to. Why should Nintendo compromise how they've been making video games for 30-something years, 30-something years, just because fans are obsessed with graphics. I mean, if you want graphics, get a PC. Seriously. It's like Sony and I think that's what Microsoft as well. I think Microsoft as well, they noticed that American gamers want realism. They don't care about the game. They care about how the game looks. They don't care about gameplay. Because look at Battlefield. Battlefield was a graphically great game, but it was a shitty game when it first started. And it's because they focused so much on the realism that they didn't focus much on the game mechanics. And it's only later on that they focused with the game mechanics after many complaints. And that goes to show. How obsessed American gamers are with actual graphics. Because if you look at it, a lot of fans with the Xbox One, that they're complaining that the Xbox One cannot do true HD 1080p. Why should they have to? You can make a great game and not, you can make a great game and not have to have it at 1080p, 60 frames per second. And I think that's one of the things Nintendo does very well. Is Nintendo brings that they're not gonna compromise themselves just to make a game look beautiful. They can make a beautiful game, but also make a complete game. And I think that's one of the reasons why Nintendo is dominating in Japan and not dominating in America is because Japanese gamers don't care about how a game looks. They care about how a game plays. They care about how a game plays, the longevity of a game, making a game replay value. That is what Japanese gamers care about. They they care about, okay, if I'm paying $50 for a game, $65 for a game, I want that game to last me as long as possible to get my money's worth. That's what Japanese gamers care about. They care about the quality of game. While if you look at American gamers, they don't really care about quality too much. They care about quantity, graphics. Okay, I could buy the same game 20 million times, but as long as the game looks good, you can have my money, Sony. That's really what American gamers is. It's like look at the Call of Duty franchise. Look at the games that are selling right now in America. Call of Duty, Battlefield, NBA, Live, games like that. it's pretty much the same game year after year, with very little things to change it, except making the games graphically better. I mean, just a comparison there. I mean, but if you look at gaming and actually Japan, and if you look at Nintendo, they're coming out with different games. They're coming out with different games. Most of the games, if you look at the genres, they have diversity. They have diversity, which is what Japanese gamers like. They like diversity. They like playing different games. They don't like playing the same games over and over. They like playing different games. Because, gamers, we get bored. We get bored playing the same games over and over and over again. We want to play different games. We don't want to play the same games over and over. We will eventually get bored of Call of Duty, people. We will eventually get bored of first-person shooters. And yes, they are fun, but they don't have longevity like Nintendo does. Nintendo's games, I mean, look how many people still play Wii. And why is that? It's because their games are more fun. Their games are more fun. Their games have more longevity than, let's say, Call of Duty. And which is really sad because, PlayStation is a good console. PlayStation is a great console. But it's like they're so obsessed with graphics and they're so obsessed with making the game look good that it's really killing them. And I think that's why Nintendo is dominating Japan right now, because Japanese gamers are still, they're still old school. They still want to play good quality games. They don't care about graphics. They want a game. They don't want to wait, they don't want to have a console sitting on the shelves, catching dust because there's no games to play it. And that's really what is happening with Sony right now. PlayStation 4 is dominating in console sales, but not in game sales. If you look at game sales, even in America, there are more people buying Wii U games than actually Sony PlayStation games, and that is because there's just more games for Nintendo. So this video is already getting very long. So to wrap this thing up, guys, my view is Nintendo is dominating Japan, frankly, because Japanese gamers don't care about video quality. They care about quality of game. They care about the quality of the actual game. They don't care about the quality in graphics, which is what gaming should be. Yes, a gaming company should focus on graphics, but not just focus on graphics. That just because the game, doesn't do 1080p doesn't mean that the game shouldn't be made. It just means that the game is just not going to be 1080p. It's that simple. And American gamers don't really care about that. American gamers don't care about games. They care about, they care about just graphics. And I'm not speaking about all, I'm not speaking, this is just, I'm not trying to say that all American gamers are like that. I'm just trying to say that, wow, it really does make me sound racist, but, but it's, Sony really made American gamers focus just on graphics and how a video game company should be just graphics. And that's why Nintendo right now is dominating in Japan but not in America. And eventually American gamers are gonna buy Wii's, Eventually American gamers will buy the Wii U just for the fact that, if you look at the quality of games on PlayStation 4 They look nice, but they don't have quality. They just look nice. Thank you guys for watching. This is Matthew, and Nintendo's dominating Japan, and it's not gonna change. Nintendo are gonna still make video games, so Sony PlayStation 4 is not killing everywhere, guys. As always, guys, thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry for the rant, but it is what it is, guys. Have an awesome day.